Hi everyone, my name is Vickie Kello. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia. I live in Brisbane and I'm here doing my first video that's not a Facebook Live, so hopefully it all goes alright. What I want to show today is how to make this Christmas ornament. So we had a set in the catalogue a few years ago. I can't even remember what it was called, but I made the ornaments like this, and it was from a YouTube video that I saw years ago, and this was my take on it. And as soon as I saw this set, I was like, no, I need to recreate that again, and this time it'll be heaps quicker because this comes with coordinating punches, whereas the previous set they were all die cut, so it was quite time consuming to do last time. With the punches I don't think it'll be as time consuming, so I thought I'd show you how I've done it and try and do it quite quickly. They are a little bit time consuming, but once you get the gist of it, it's pretty easy. So what I've used here is Pretty Peacock and then heat embossed with copper. I've also already pre-cut the stars. So I've cut out the stars in the new set. They're called the Stitch Star dies. So I've just cut out a Stitch Star, and then the layering one in the copper is the more detailed star. So I've cut that out and already put that together. And then I have done all my stamping and everything. So, but we'll go through the process with this. So you need to have 20 of each ornament. So I have stamped, and I've stamped it on Very Vanilla to match the ribbon instead of white. So you need 20 of the Pretty Peacocks, and you need 20 of the copper embossed. So you can use whichever ones you want, because there's two of the big ornaments, there's only one of the little ornaments. So you can see in this one I've used the different, the larger ornament with the different pattern on it, and then done the little ornaments in the Pretty Peacock and switched it up a bit. So they do look a little bit different, but same concept. So you need 20 of these each, and then you need to score down the center on the side that you've inked or embossed. So I've got my scoreboard here, so we'll just bring that in, and you can see I've got thousands of them here. So you just get your stylus, and you get one of your images, and you kind of line it up. This is how I do it. It could be an easy way. Line it up and scroll down just for the center, and then you just fold in half. Now it does need to line up pretty good, otherwise you'll end up with a bit of a skew-if ornament. So you need to do that with, you need to score 16 of these, and you need to leave, no, you need to score 15 of these and leave 5 flat, because you need 4 for each ornament shape that we do. So then once you've done all the scoring, then you need to stick these together. So I just used Tombow, and on one of the folded sides, put a bit of glue, and then line up and make sure they line up so they look good. It may not be pretty even on the bottom, but you want it to look good on the outside, not the bottom. So don't worry about that. Just line it up so that the outsides look good. Then more glue. And then you do another one. Now Tombow doesn't take too long to stick down and adhere pretty good, but it does give you enough time to just wiggle that a little bit in there. And then once you've got this, then you get one of your flat pieces that you haven't scored, and then you put glue on the back of that, and then you adhere these open bits to this bit, and then wiggle that in so it all lines up. And just hold that for a second. Now, because you won't see the bottom of these pieces, if you've got a dodgy piece where you've embossed, like this one, that's what you want for the bottom. So any dodgy pieces that you get, put them on the bottom, because you won't see these on the smaller ornaments. On the bigger ornaments, you will see the bottoms, so you need to be a little bit more careful, but on the smaller ornaments. And then once they're down, I just push that down flat, and it makes it sit a bit better. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to stick this one down too, because we need 5 each of these. And just line them up and just pinch them in so that they all line up. And then stick that, push that down, and it closes that gap a little bit. Okay, so that's the gluing done, because I've already done one. So for the large ornaments in the Pretty Peacock, I've already done that, and then I just punched out. And you can pretty much use any colour you want. I had some spare Night of Navy lying around, so I've just punched out, I think, I can't remember what size this is. Got a ruler here. This is a 3/4 inch circle punch, so I've just punched that out. And so you stick all the glue on the bottom there, and then just point the tips of the ornament into there once you've got all 5. So the flat bits are sitting on the bottom, and all the pokey bits are sticking up on that. So that's the shape that you get. And then I'll show you, for the next lot, you will need hot glue. Tombow and any other glue that I've used does not work. So I'm bringing in my hot glue gun and my silicone mat, and we'll just pull, oh, that's hot. Pull that bit off. All right. So then you just want a bit of hot glue on the base. So I use 1 squirt. I don't know what size hot glue guns you guys have got, but 1 squirt is enough for me, and that's not going to sit nicely. And then stick it off center to the ornaments. So you hold that down, and hot glue obviously doesn't take all that long to adhere. I need to bring that cord up. Hopefully that might sit there. Okay, and now we adhere another squirt. And with these two, you kind of want them touching to give a nice effect. And then another squirt. You could probably use less hot glue, but I want to make sure this is stuck down and this is never coming apart. So I make sure it's all in there. Okay, and then we have another one. So it is easier. I am mass producing these because I'm doing these for a swap for a team day that I've got today. It is easier if you do all your stamping. Oh, and I just got myself with the heat. All your stamping and all your punching, and then do all your scoring, and then come in and just use the hot glue at the last minute once everything else is done. And because my hot glue gun takes forever to heat up, so I make sure that when it's done and ready, it's going to get good bang for its buck. And then you just need to clear up all the hot glue pieces. Pull them off. Then with your star, now I make sure this has got lots of glue on it. So I put glue on all the tips because this is going to cover a bit of the mess in the middle. So stick that down. Go under. Okay, that one's probably a little bit far out, but that's what happens when I do it on camera. Okay, and then to finish it off and make it all pretty, now years ago when we had these, we had Stampin' Up tulle, but I made them in so many different colours that I went to Spotlight and got this, it's, I don't even know what material it is, it's see-through, it frays a little bit, but I had some left over in the copper, so I have just cut little strips, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you just get your little strips, and then it doesn't really matter how much, or like the bigger the piece, the more it's going to stick out. But I just kind of roll it up. And then I do have my trusty pokey tool. And then underneath where you've stuck that smaller ornament, there's a gap there with the 2 bigger ones. Now shove some hot glue down there. So I just do one big squirt. And then get your piece, and then I just get my little pokey tool and poke that in as far as it'll go, because you don't want it to stick out too much. With these ones that I made a few years ago, the ornaments are a lot bigger, so you wanted a bigger piece in there to fill this. These ornaments are a lot smaller, so you don't want it to take over as much. So I'm just using really tiny bits in there, but you can make these as big as you want. So again, we just get our little scrap piece, and like there's no size limit, there's no rules to this. I just kind of roll it up. If it starts fraying too much, then I do trim some of the bits off, but other than that, I think it just adds to the effect. So get your little pokey tool in there, jam that in there. Oh, and that's come out. Get that glue off there. And it can stay in there, and you've still got a bit hanging out. That one's a bit frayed now, but that's okay. So just make sure you clean off your pokey tool with your hot glue so it doesn't continue to stick. Your next bit, just roll these up. Now this one is going to be a little bit harder because it looks like the hot glue's glued those bits together anyway, so you can try and jam it in there. You want to kind of hide the bit where it joins in there, but you know that it comes out there. So, because you want the back to look as pretty as possible. And then you can just trim that bit up because that's a bit bigger than those. And then once you're all done, I'll just do the last couple so that you can see how I finish this off. So the most time consuming part of this, I think, is stamping the 20 ornaments of each. Especially if you're going to heat emboss, that takes a bit of time. If you just do it, just stamp instead of heat embossing, it wouldn't take quite so long, but hide that in there. So this is why it's good to have your silicone mat down to stop the glue getting stuck everywhere. I'm just fixing this last one up. And we've got one more bit of hot glue. We can poke that in there. Oh, that's burnt my finger. Okay, so hot glue is obviously very hot and you need to be mindful of that. And make sure your pokey tool doesn't come out. Okay. So then once you've cleaned all that up, you can get your, let me get my ribbon scissors and just see whether I can get some of these stringy bits off. And then get rid of the stringy bits of the hot glue. So if some of you have still got the Stampin' Up stuff lying around, you could use that. I've still got some, but I've only got it in the red. So what was this called? Cherry Cobbler Scalloped Tulle Ribbon. So this is what the lady used years ago when she made that. So I've got it in the red. It doesn't really match the colours that I wanted to use, but if I made some red ones, I could still use that. And then once you've done that, you want to get your crocodile. And I know this is retired, but because you've got to punch through a few layers, you need a sturdy hole punch. And through one of the big ornaments in the middle, just punch through. And then I'm using this Christmas ribbon, which is the classic weave, and it's in Very Vanilla and Copper. So you need a good bit of that. And then weave that through the hole. Oh. If I can get it through. Of course, because when I'm doing this on camera, it makes it look very difficult when it's not. Okay, so then just make sure the writing's on the outside because this is not double-sided ribbon. And then I just tie a knot in the top. And you just make it as long as you want for Christmas decorations, whether you want them on your tree or somewhere else. I've pulled that, and then I just trim that top bit off to finish that nicely. So there's the one with the embossing on the bottom and then embossing on the top. I've made 7 of these already, I think. So I've got to make a couple more for my swaps today, but hopefully this has inspired you to make it and show that it's not that difficult. It is a little bit time consuming, but they're very easy to make once you've stamped everything. So hopefully you've enjoyed that, and give me a thumbs up and share my video. Thank you very much. Bye.